Hey everyone, Jexie here. Welcome back to my channel. As you guys know, this channel is all about my experience with recovering from addiction. So I thought today what we would talk about is getting into recovery in the first place. I know I often talk about my experiences in daily life and what it's like to live day to day in recovery, but I think it's important for anybody who watches my channel who's either still struggling with addiction, just getting into recovery, or maybe as a family member or friend of someone who's struggling. I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the very beginning part of recovery and some things we can do that help us along in the process and some things that we can expect, because let's face it, getting into recovery is not easy. So when we first start thinking about recovery, for many of us, there's a long period of time between when we think we want to start, a journey on recovery to when we're actually successful in starting that journey. I think it's important for people to understand that it's very difficult when we first start in recovery, and not everybody gets it like their first try, and there's no shame in struggling at the beginning. So often people get frustrated that they're not getting it as easily as they see somebody else maybe getting it, and they want to give up on the entire process. I'll tell you that a lot of times it's just that the people that you're seeing who are having an easier time have already had that difficult time. Very few people get into recovery and walk in and say, life is great, here I am, yeah, I'm not going to use drugs anymore, and have a perfect, journey thereon. I'm sure there are people, but that's not the norm. So, my tip number one is don't compare your journey to anybody else's, especially at the beginning. It's very hard, and we want to do the best we can. We're addicts. We want quick fixes. We want to feel better right away. We want life to get better right away. We want our families to trust us right away. We want everything to be better now. We don't want to have to wait, and we don't know how to put in the work yet. So we try to compare ourselves to others who look like they're having such an easier time than us. By keeping the focus on ourselves, we can stop judging our recovery based on what other people are doing. The next thing to remember is the most important thing about recovery is don't pick up the drug. Whether your drug of choice is heroin, weed, alcohol, it doesn't matter. I've always heard this said, if you don't pick up, you can't get high. Now that's easier said than done, obviously, but it all starts with a choice to use. If we make that choice to put the substance in our bodies, we no longer have any control over the outcome. Drugs make people like me lose control. We no longer have choice. We no longer can keep ourselves from hurting those that we love. By not picking up that first drug, we can work through that day. So tip number 3 is staying in the just for today. You hear that a lot in 12-step programs, but really that's useful no matter where you're from. Thinking about the concepts of staying clean forever is way too overwhelming it was for me, especially at the beginning. So to think like, what do you mean I can never have a drink at a wedding again? What do you mean I can't smoke pot on Maui when I'm 50? Maybe I want to. Maybe it'll be okay then. I don't have to think about any of that. I don't even have to think about next week or even tomorrow. I only have to get through the day. And I know for some people, and not all, some people will tell themselves, well, I can use tomorrow. And it gets them through the day. And then when they wake up that next day, they use the same trick. If it keeps you clean for today, then you're doing the right thing. Everybody uses different tricks to stay clean, but the most important thing is to not put it in your body. If you can keep from putting that first drug or drink in your body, you have 100% chance of success for that moment, right? As soon as we put that drug or alcohol into our bodies, it's over, at least for people like me. So my next tip for people who are still struggling and trying to get recovery is get a network of people that you can talk to about how you feel. Look, it's not always easy to express how we feel in recovery, but other addicts in recovery can understand. When you're having a hard day, when you're just tired or you can't move or you don't think you want to stick with recovery, all the thoughts that go through your head at the beginning, any other addict in recovery can relate to that. It's such a unique experience to those of us who have gotten off drugs, but it's just an experience that all of us have had while getting off of drugs. We've all struggled with feeling worthless and useless and just wanting to do stuff. You know, I always tell a story about the fact that right before I went into rehab, I had a basket of clothes that were folded and ready to put away. And when I got out of rehab, it took me months, well, maybe a month, I don't really remember, until I could put that basket of clothes away. I don't know why, but I used to do that stuff high. And I guess I just didn't know how to put the clothes away without drugs. And it sounds so ridiculous, but people who were, when I shared about that to other people in recovery, they could relate. They told me they understood how I felt. It made me feel not so alone. And eventually, somebody gave me a suggestion. They said, hey, instead of trying to put the whole basket of clothes away, why not just put one thing away? To me, that was the most brilliant suggestion I had ever gotten, and I did that. And I put one thing away. And then the next day, it was easier for me just to walk by and grab something else and put it away. And before I knew it, that basket of clothes was put away. I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I can tell you, based on that suggestion, I did it one article of clothing at a time. So often as addicts, we think about the big picture, all the things we have to do, all the things we have to change, right? But that's not what recovery tells us, right? Recovery teaches us we just have to do one thing at a time. We always do the next right thing. We don't have to make a list of every single thing we have to change. We work on changing the one thing we can change right now. That's how we are successful at the beginning of recovery. Recovery is hard enough, especially at the beginning. Getting off drugs is hard. And if you've never had to go through the process, understand that your loved one who is fighting to get off drugs is going through the hardest battle of their lives. Getting off drugs is a battle. It is hard. And we already feel like failures. Now, this next part is to families and friends. And this is just my personal opinion based on my experience. I am not a doctor or a psychiatrist or any kind of credentials. I am just an addict in recovery. But for families and friends of people who are dealing with people in active addiction, it's very important not to enable them. Too often I see family and friends enabling addicts to death. Now look, nobody wants to see their friend, their loved ones, their kids, whatever, struggle. Nobody wants to see them out on the street. Nobody wants to see them die. But the reality of it is sometimes enabling them makes their journey to death just, why would they change? If you're giving someone a place to, I'll keep it on me. If somebody gave me a place to live, allowed me to see my kids, paid my bills for me, gave me money when I needed, why would I get off drugs? That sounds like a pretty cushy life to me. So sometimes tough love is a smart thing to do. And if you're unsure, ask. Ask others who've been in your shoes. Ask other families or friends who have been in your shoes and been successful. There's nothing you can do to fix somebody else. They have to be ready on their own. But addiction tends to be a family disease, which means that an addict isn't just hurting themselves. We hurt the people around us a lot. And we don't have any idea that we're doing it. We truly believe that our addiction is only impacting us. We believe that, no matter what you may say. Have patience, and remember that as long as they're alive, there's hope. There is real hope. You know? So my final suggestion for those who are in early recovery or struggling is as you work on recovery, be honest with yourself and those around you for what you know you need to do to stay clean. For example, my family and my friends all know I'm in recovery. I'm very open and vocal about this. And I do this for a reason. It helps make sure that I'm never put into a situation where drugs or alcohol or anything are offered to me, or I feel uncomfortable having to turn those things down. I don't put myself in situations where I know that I'm going to be surrounded with drugs, right? The other thing is sometimes those situations pop up unexpectedly. we run into an old using friend, we go to a family wedding and one of our relatives has something. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of times where the opportunity to use may show up when you're not expecting it. So as a person in recovery, what I do is I have what I like to call an escape plan. So no matter what situation I'm in or what I'm going through, I always have people I can call and a way to leave. Because sometimes we're not ready. You know, it's one thing when we go to a wedding where we know there's going to be alcohol, we can kind of prepare for those feelings. We can say, like, look, if I want to drink, I can call this one, I can go home, I can, you kind of are ready for those feelings, so you have an escape plan already. It's good to have one of those in your back pocket for just on the off chance that something comes around that you're not ready for. We never know when situations are going to pop up, when something may trigger us to want to use. So the more tools you have, the more options you have for what you can do when those triggers happen, the better chance that you'll get through the situation without using. So those are just some suggestions that I have for early recovery based on my own experiences. Again, I'm not a professional or anything. I'm just a recovering addict. I have 6.5 years clean, and these are the things that were told to me at the very beginning. So I hope this video helped give you some suggestions and give you some identification to know that you're not alone in this. And for family and friends who have addicts that they're trying to reach, just know you're not alone either. There's a lot of other people in your shoes, and I would highly suggest a support group. Regardless of who runs it or what kind it is, whether it's a 12-step program or something else, we all need help. We all need support. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me in a big way. My goal is to reach as many people as possible who are struggling with addiction and who are in recovery. Feel free to share this video with anybody you know who may benefit from seeing it. Again, leave a like. It helps. Only if you like the video, though. I don't want you to leave a like if you didn't like it, because that's not fair. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Was there something that was useful? Was there something I missed that I should have added? Let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for live stream trivia on my channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a really great week, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.